Hello and welcome to another video in our series, Dr. Chris Key to the Manager's Mindset. Today we delve into the fascinating world of global economics and how it impacts your wallet. In this swirling vortex of a world where everything is interconnected, it's crucial to understand that no event happens in a vacuum. Vast, sweeping changes half a world away can ripple through economies, influencing market trends and eventually your personal finances. But how does this work? And more importantly, what can you do about it? That's exactly what we're going to explore in today's video. Our goal here is to unmask the seemingly intricate world of global economics and show how it's not some distant, abstract concept, but something that has tangible effects on your wallet. We'll unravel the threads that connect major world events to the dollars and cents in your bank account. Whether it's a trade war between superpowers, an international conflict, or even a global pandemic, these events create ripples that eventually reach your personal finances. Imagine this. You wake up one morning to find out that a major oil-producing country has decided to cut back on its oil production. What would that mean for you? Well, you would probably see the effects at your local gas station within a few weeks, maybe even days. That's just one example of how an event thousands of miles away can impact your daily life. But it's not all gloom and doom. By understanding these dynamics, you can make informed decisions that help insulate your finances from the shockwaves of global events. You can navigate these choppy waters with a bit more confidence, knowing that you're not just at the mercy of world events, but you're actively managing their impact on your finances. So are you ready to understand how world events can affect your personal finances? Then buckle up and let's get started. Global economic events are major occurrences that have financial implications across countries and continents. These are the happenings that shake the world's financial markets and can cause ripples that reach our wallets. Let's delve into it. First, let's define what we mean by global economic events. These are significant incidents that have broad-reaching impacts on the world's economies. They can be political, like trade wars or international conflicts, or biological, like global pandemics. These events are part of our interconnected world, and they can cause shifts in the global economic landscape. Take trade wars, for instance. Trade wars occur when nations impose tariffs or quotas on imports and exports to protect their domestic industries. But these protectionist measures can lead to retaliation and a cycle of escalating restrictions that affect international trade. The immediate effect is often a disruption in domestic markets as supply chains are interrupted and prices fluctuate. Another example of a global economic event is international conflicts. Conflicts can lead to economic sanctions, which are commercial and financial penalties applied by one or more countries against a targeted self-governing state, group, or individual. Sanctions can have a profound impact on a nation's economy, often leading to increased inflation rates. This is because sanctions limit the import of goods, causing the prices of those goods to rise. And then we have global pandemics, like the one we've recently experienced. Pandemics lead to economic slowdowns as countries impose lockdowns and travel restrictions to control the spread of the disease. Businesses close, unemployment rates rise, and consumer spending drops, leading to a contraction in the economy. But it's not all doom and gloom. These slowdowns can be followed by periods of recovery, as we've seen with the economic rebound in many countries post-lockdown. But how do these global events impact national economies? Well, trade restrictions can cause a decrease in the availability of imported goods, leading to increased prices and inflation. This can affect the buying power of the average consumer and lead to a decrease in living standards. Economic sanctions can also lead to increased inflation rates. When a country is cut off from importing goods due to sanctions, the prices of those goods within the country can skyrocket. This can lead to economic instability and hardship for the average citizen. Pandemics can lead to economic slowdowns and recovery. During a pandemic, many businesses close their doors and unemployment rates rise. This leads to a decrease in consumer spending, which is a major driver of economic growth. However, once the pandemic is under control and businesses reopen, there can be a period of economic recovery as consumer spending rebounds. Now, let's move from the national level to see how these global events impact our personal finances. Remember, these events can seem distant and unrelated to our daily lives, but they can have a significant impact on our wallets. So it's crucial to understand them and how they affect us. Let's take a closer look in the next segment. The effects of global events don't stay confined to the national level. They trickle down to our personal finances in more ways than one. Every global economic event has a ripple effect, a chain of impact that extends from the world stage to national economies, and eventually to our personal finances. How does this happen? Through what we call transmission mechanisms. These are the channels through which changes in the global economy impact our individual financial health. Let's delve deeper into these mechanisms. First off, we have currency valuation. Global events can dramatically affect the value of a country's currency. For instance, if a nation is embroiled in a political conflict or trade war, investors might lose confidence, leading to a decrease in the value of that country's currency. This can have a direct impact on us, the consumers. Imagine you're planning a holiday abroad. If your home currency depreciates, your travel budget might suddenly shrink, making that dream vacation more expensive than you initially planned. Next up, we have inflation. Inflation is the rate at which the general level of prices for goods and services is rising. Global events like oil price hikes or trade restrictions can cause inflation to spike. And when inflation rises, the purchasing power of our money falls. To put it simply, we end up paying more for the same goods and services. Take your weekly grocery run, for instance. If inflation goes up, you might notice that your grocery bill is steadily climbing, even though you're buying the same items as before. The third mechanism is the job market. Global economic events often lead to changes in the job market. A slowdown in the global economy can lead to layoffs or hiring freezes, affecting our job security and income. On the flip side, an upturn in the global economy can result in new job opportunities and potentially higher wages. Finally, we have interest rates. Central banks often adjust interest rates in response to global economic events. If the economy is struggling, they might lower interest rates to encourage borrowing and stimulate growth. Conversely, if the economy is overheating, they might raise rates to curb inflation. These shifts can affect the interest we earn on savings, the cost of our mortgages, and the returns on our investments. Now, let's see these mechanisms in action with a few real-world examples. Consider a rise in global oil prices. This can lead to higher fuel costs at home, which can impact everything from your daily commute expenses to the cost of heating your home. And it's not just direct costs. The increase in fuel costs can lead to higher transportation costs for businesses, which can then be passed on to consumers in the form of higher prices for goods and services. Another example is import tariffs. Let's say your home country imposes tariffs on imported goods. This can lead to an increase in the prices of those goods in your local market. If the tariff is on a raw material like steel, it can affect the prices of all products that use steel, from cars to appliances. So even if you don't directly purchase the imported good, you might still feel the pinch when you go to buy a new car or kitchen appliance. In summary, global economic events can affect us in a multitude of ways, from the prices we pay for goods and services to our job security and the performance of our investments. Understanding these mechanisms can help us better protect our wallets. Let's see how. Financial planning and adaptability are key to safeguarding our personal finances in a globally connected world. As the world becomes more interconnected, the impact of global economic events on our personal finances becomes increasingly significant. However, with the right strategies in place, we can minimize this impact and even turn it to our advantage. Let's start with financial planning, the cornerstone of any successful personal financial management. It's like a roadmap, guiding us through the complex landscape of global finance. One of the most important elements of financial planning is the emergency fund. This is a stash of money set aside to cover unexpected expenses such as job loss, medical emergencies, or sudden large-scale economic shifts. Think of it as a financial safety net. It's generally recommended to have between 3 to 6 months' worth of living expenses in your emergency fund. That way, if a global economic event does affect your income, you'll have a buffer to help you stay afloat while you adjust your financial strategies. Next, let's talk about diversification. Diversifying your investments means spreading your money across a variety of different assets, such as stocks, bonds, real estate, and even different currencies. This strategy can help to hedge against market volatility caused by global events. For example, if a trade war causes a dip in stock prices, your bonds or real estate investments might still hold steady, balancing out your overall portfolio. Diversification doesn't guarantee profits or protect against all losses, but it can help to smooth out the bumps in the road and reduce the risk of major losses. But how do you know when to adjust your financial plans or diversify your investments? That's where staying informed comes in. By following reliable financial news sources, you can keep up to date with global economic events and their potential impacts. This doesn't mean you need to become a financial analyst or spend all day reading the financial news. Instead, aim to develop a basic understanding of the key indicators that can signal major economic changes. These might include things like changes in interest rates, inflation rates, job market trends, and currency valuations. For example, if you notice that inflation rates are rising, this might be a clue that the value of your currency is falling. This could affect the real value of your savings and investments, as well as the cost of imported goods. Similarly, if job market trends show a decline in your industry, this could be a warning sign to bolster your emergency fund or diversify your income sources. Remember, the goal here isn't to predict the future or beat the market. Instead, it's about equipping yourself with the knowledge and tools to adapt to changes as they come. In the world of global finance, change is the only constant. But with a solid financial plan, a diversified investment portfolio, and a commitment to staying informed, you can navigate these changes with confidence. Armed with this knowledge, let's look at a few case studies to see how individuals navigated through turbulent economic times. Real-world examples can provide valuable insights into how global economic events can influence personal finance. Let's dive into our first case study, the US-China trade war. A series of escalating tit-for-tat tariff impositions sent ripples through the global economy. As these two economic powerhouses clashed, many sectors felt the impact, but let's focus on two: the manufacturing and agriculture industries. In the manufacturing sector, the increased costs of imported raw materials due to tariffs forced many companies to reassess their supply chains. Some chose to absorb the costs, which dented their profits, while others passed them on to consumers, leading to higher prices for goods. This in turn affected personal finances, as individuals found themselves paying more for the same products. On the other hand, farmers in the US found themselves caught in the crossfire, as China retaliated with tariffs on agricultural products. The resulting price drops and loss of markets led to financial strain for many. But how did some individuals mitigate these negative impacts? In the manufacturing sector, some chose to be frugal, cutting back on non-essential purchases to offset the increased costs of goods. Others sought out locally produced items which were less affected by the tariffs. As for the farmers, many turned to government aid programs to weather the storm, while some explored new markets to replace the lost Chinese demand. Let's shift gears to our second case study, the economic impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic. This global crisis has had far-reaching effects on various income groups, and the strategies for financial recovery have been just as diverse. The pandemic has hit low-income and middle-income groups particularly hard. Many people in these groups work in industries like hospitality, retail, and tourism, which were severely affected by lockdowns and social distancing measures. As a result, many faced reduced working hours, pay cuts, or even job losses. Meanwhile, the wealthy, with their diversified investment portfolios and the ability to work from home, were generally less affected. Some even saw their wealth increase due to surges in tech stocks and other investment opportunities that arose during the pandemic. So how did these different income groups navigate these challenging times? For the low and middle income groups, many found ways to cut costs, such as reducing discretionary spending or renegotiating bills. Some took on gig work or started side businesses to supplement their income. Others leaned on government support, like unemployment benefits or stimulus checks. The wealthy, on the other hand, were able to leverage the situation to their advantage. They invested in booming sectors like technology and healthcare, and some even acquired struggling businesses at reduced prices. These case studies illustrate that global economic events can have a significant impact on personal finances. However, they also show that with understanding, adaptability, and proactive management, it's possible to mitigate these impacts, and sometimes even turn a challenge into an opportunity. These examples underscore the importance of understanding global economics and being proactive in managing our personal finances. We value your thoughts and experiences. As we've journeyed through this video, we've touched on how global economic events can have a ripple effect, reaching into our personal wallets. But now, we want to hear from you. Have you ever felt the impact of a global event on your finances? Perhaps the trade wars influenced your investment portfolio, or maybe the global pandemic had a direct effect on your job and income. Each story is unique, and by sharing yours, you might just help someone else navigate their path. Or perhaps you have concerns or questions about how global economics might affect your financial future. This too is invaluable. By voicing these inquiries, you're taking the first step towards financial literacy. We encourage you to engage with us and your fellow viewers in the comments section below. Your input helps us all learn and grow, so don't hesitate to share. As we've seen, global events can have significant impacts on our personal finances. From trade wars to international conflicts to global pandemics, these events can trigger ripples that affect national economies and ultimately our wallets. They can cause shifts in trade restrictions, inflation rates, and even lead to economic slowdowns and recovery. We've explored how these national events trickle down to personal finance through mechanisms like currency valuation, changes in job markets, and interest rates. We've seen real-world examples, like how a rise in global oil prices can increase local fuel costs and commuting expenses, or how import tariffs can inflate the price of consumer goods. But perhaps most importantly, we've discussed how to protect your wallet from these global economic fluctuations. Establishing an emergency fund, diversifying your investments, and staying informed through trustworthy financial news sources are just a few strategies that can help you navigate these turbulent economic waters. Understanding economic indicators can also give you a heads up about major changes on the horizon. We've looked at case studies like the US-China trade war and the economic impacts of COVID-19 to see how different sectors and income groups were affected and what strategies they employed for financial recovery. These real-life examples can provide valuable lessons for mitigating the negative impacts of global economic events on our own finances. In the end, understanding global economics isn't just about keeping up with the news, it's about empowering ourselves to make better personal financial decisions. When we understand how the world economy affects our personal finances, we're better equipped to plan, adapt, and ultimately protect our financial well-being. Thank you for joining us today. Remember to like, subscribe, and follow for more insights on managing your personal finance in a globally connected world. Until next time, stay informed, stay prepared.